Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We from group ANW want to present about PBL2, which is measurement of this study. The measurement of this study is using a questionnaire. There is have a 3 section for this study. For the section A is about the demography of the respondents. The demography is using gender, age, ethnicity, education level, religion, occupations, and respondent willingness to share or seeking information about the restaurant. For the gender, we use a nominal. For the age, we use a ratio, and for the ethnicity, education level, religions, occupations, and respondent willingness to share or seeking information, we use ordinal. And for the section 2 is about factor influence customer purchase intention toward the restaurant. That have 5 independent variables for this study. The first one is sources trustworthiness. This variable have 2 items, and the 2 items we adopted from WU 2013, and this item using a Likert scale, which is 1 is strongly disagree and 5 is the strongly agree. For the second variable is about tie strength, have a 3 item, and all of the item is adopted from the Abdullah et al. 2015. This item also using a Likert scale, which is 1 is none and 5 is several. For the third variable is about E1 volume that have 4 items. For the item 1 and item 2 is adapted from Lin et al. 2013. But for the for the item 3 and 4 adapted from L. Dosuki 2011. This variable also using a Likert scale, which is 1 for the strongly disagree and 5 for the strongly agree. For the E1 variance is a fourth variable for this study. This consists of 3 items that all of the items are adapted from the Yearly and the Bayram 2030. This item also using a Likert scale, which is 1 for the strongly agree and 5 for the strongly agree. For the fifth variable is a type of website. This variable have 5 items, and for the all of the item adopted from Yearly and Bayram 2012. And this variable also use a Likert scale, which is 1 from the strongly disagree and 5 for the strongly agree. For the section C about E1 influence customer purchase intentions. For the customer purchase intention is a dependent variable for the study, which is customer purchase intention have 4 items, and for the item 1 and 2 will adapted from WU 2030, and for the item 3 adapted from El Aziz, and for the fourth item we adapted from Yearly and Bayram 2012. This item also using a Likert scale, which is strongly disagree to the strongly agree.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nursyazwani Binti Abdullah 254006. Okay, now we continue with PBL3 data collection. Okay, data collection is a process where we measure and we collect the data information on variable of interest from someone that answer the research question. Okay, next is sample. Our group choose sample Malaysian youth, which is age from 15 to 35 years old. Okay, based on the on Kerja Morgan, we should recruit 384 youth of Malaysian, but we just got 190 person to answer the research question. Next is sampling technique. Our group choose non-probability sampling technique, which is purposive sample. It provides wide range of non-probability sampling technique for researcher to focus on youth generation in Malaysia. The last one is data collection. We choose distribute technique, which is our group sharing the online surveilling through media social like our WhatsApp group, Facebook account, and also we using Instagram. Okay, the advantage of using social media platform is we can shorten the time to collect the data, and also we can reach all the respondent in the same time. While disadvantage of using social media platform is we may accidentally choose unsuitable distribution channel, which can lead our questionnaire to be maybe a biased data, and also low in response rate. Okay, next we move to PBL 4.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Atikah Binti Hanafiah, metric number 256546. Now I will present about PBL4 data analysis. Before I proceed with data analysis technique, I will explain a little what we need to do before continue with analysis. We need to run our data to make sure that it is reliable and have normal distribution. First is reliability test. How to run reliability test? Once we open our data set in SPSS, in the toolbox above, we click Analyze, click Scale, and then click Reliability Analysis. After that, Reliability Analysis box will appear. In the box, they have a section that we need to fill in items. We need to insert all items under same variable into the items box. After we finish insert all items under the same variable, we need to click statistic, and then there will appear another small box. In the small box, we need to click item, and then click scale if item deleted, and then click means. After that, click continue, and then click OK. After that, we will receive an output result of reliability test. If we want to run reliability test, we need to make sure that we need to run our variable separately. That means that we need to run the variable one by one, because we cannot run it all the variables in the same box. After we finish with reliability test and compute all variables, we can start run normality test. The first step for normality test is we need to click Analyze, click Descriptive Statistic, and then we choose Explore. After that, an Explore box will appear. In the Explore box, we need to insert all compute variable into dependent list. After that, we click Statistic. In Statistic, we will choose Descriptive and Outliers. After that, click Continue, and then we click Plots. In the plots, we choose histogram, and we choose normality plots with test. After that, click Continue, and then click OK. After we click OK, we will receive our normality output. After we finish with all reliability test and normality test, we can start run our data analysis using data analysis technique. Data analysis technique that our group has used is descriptive analysis, cross-tabulation, independent sample t-test, and one-way ANOVA, Pearson correlation, and lastly, multivariate regression. Okay, first I will explain about descriptive analysis. The purpose of descriptive analysis was to explain the characteristics of respondents. It was typically used early in the analysis process, and the process that we need to do in order to run our descriptive analysis. First, we need to click analyze and then click descriptive statistic. After that, we choose an option of frequency, and after that, frequency box will appear. In the frequency box, we need to fill in the variable box. In variable box, we just fill in all the demographic variables. After finish with fill in all demographic variables into the box, we click statistic, and then in the statistic section, we click mean. We choose mean, median, and mode. After that, click continue, and then click OK. And we will receive an output of descriptive analysis. And to back up my interpretation in descriptive analysis, I choose to run cross-tabulation. Cross-tabulation is a process by which the relationship between multiple variables is quantitatively analyzed. Okay, the process that we need to do to start run cross-tabulation is first we need to click analyze and then click descriptive statistic. After that, we choose cross-tabs, and a box of a cross-tab box will appear. In the box, there are rows and column section. Before we fill in the row and column section, we need to remember that the only group that we can use in row and column section is a categorical group. For example, in row section, we insert gender. In column section, we insert another categorical group. For example, experience. After we finish insert all rows and column section, we need to click statistic. In statistic box, we choose chi-square and then click continue. After that, click OK, and we will receive a cross-tab output. After finish with descriptive analysis and cross-tab, I will continue with differences hypothesis. Differences hypothesis have two data analysis techniques that we can use. One is independent sample t-test. Second is one-way ANOVA. And first, I will explain about independent sample t-test. The purpose of independent sample t-test is to evaluate the statistical significance of difference in the means of two groups or categories. We must remember that in independent sample t-test, the group cannot be more than two. Okay, the step that we need to do in order to start our independent sample t-test is first we click analyze, and then compare means. After that, choose independent sample t-test, and independent sample t-test box will appear. In the box, there are test variable section and grouping variable section. Okay, first, in grouping variables, we choose one group of demographic or categorical. We must make sure that the group that we choose are not more than two. For example, gender. Gender, we only have two groups. Group 1 is male and group 2 is female. And below the grouping variables, there are defined groups option. We just click the define group option. In define groups box, we need to label each of our group. For example, group 1, we need to labels with 1 equal to male, and then group 2 we need to label with 0 equal to females, or we can other than 0 we also can use number 2. Okay, after that, click continue. And then after we finish with grouping variables, we go to test variable. In test variables, we can choose one group of variables, for example, purchase intention. And then after that, after finish with all the filling, we choose in OK. And we will receive an output of independent sample t-test. Okay, next I will continue with another difference hypothesis techniques, which is one-way ANOVA. The purpose of one-way ANOVA is to evaluate the statistical significance of difference in the means of two groups or more than two groups. The process that we need to do in order to run our one-way ANOVA is first we need to click Analyze, click Compare Mean, and then click one-way ANOVA. A box of and then a box will appear, and then in the section of dependent list, we put our dependent variable. For example, for my group, we use dependent variables of purchase intention, and then after that we go to factor section. In factor section, we need to insert a categorical group, and we must make sure that the categorical groups must have more than two groups. For example, in factor section, I choose race. The reason I choose a race because it has more than two groups. One Malay, two Indian, two Chinese, and four others. It means that we have four groups in race. Okay. After that, after we choose our dependent list and factors, we go to post hoc button. After we click the post hoc button, another box will appear. In the box, we just click OK and then click continue. After that, we choose option button. In the option button, we choose descriptive and then click continue. After that, go to the main box and click OK, and we will receive an output of one-way ANOVA. Just now, we just finished with differences hypothesis. Now I will continue with relationship hypothesis. Relationship hypothesis have two types. First is bivariate Pearson correlation, and second is multivariate regression. And first, I will explain about bivariate Pearson correlation. The purpose of bivariate Pearson correlation is to analyze the relationship between two continuous quantitative variables. And the process that we need to do in SPSS is we need to click Analyze and then click Correlate. After that, we need to choose bivariate. A box of bivariate correlation will appear. In the box, we need to fill in the variable section. In the variable section, we need to insert all computed variable. For example, if we have 6 computed variable, we need to put in all 6 computed variables. And then after we finish insert all variables, we need to click Pearson. After that, we need to click two tails option, and then we need to click flag. After that, click OK, and we will receive our Pearson correlation output. Lastly, I will continue with multivariate regression. The purpose of multivariate regression is to determine how several independents are related to a dependent variables. More than one independent variables is used in the regression equation. The process that we need to do in order to create multivariate regression data, first we need to click Analyze, and then we need to click Regression. After that, we choose Linear, and then Linear regression box will appear. In the box, there are two sections that we need to fill in. That is dependent section and independent section. In dependent section, we need to put in dependent variable that we already compute. For independent section, we need to insert all independent variables that we already compute. After that, click statistic button, and after we click with after we click statistic button, a linear regression statistic box will appear. In the box, we need to choose request change, and we need to choose descriptive. After that, click continue, and then we need to click save button, and a linear regression save box will appear. In the box, we need to choose unstandardized, and we need to choose standardized. After that, click continue, and we will go to our main box of linear regression, and we click OK. After that, an output of multivariate regression will appear. That's all for PBL4, and next I will continue with PBL5. In PBL5, I will explain about finding interpretation of data analysis that we have done in PBL4. Okay, first I will interpret about descriptive statistics. As you can see on the slides, there are demographic tables of respondents. This table shows the descriptive statistic results of the respondents' demographic profile. In this table, we use data that has been cleaned and meet our requirement. Out of the 187 respondents, 41% are males, 146% are females. Majority of respondents are young people around age 23 years old, with frequency of 99 and 52.9%. Most of the respondents are 91.4% is Malay, and 92.5% Islam. Regarding the level of education, most of respondents are degree students with 73.3%, matric is 2.1%, diploma is 6.4%, for high school students such as SPM 7.5%, STPM 9.6%, STAM 0.5%, and PT3 0.5% also. In terms of occupation, the majority of the respondents are students with 86.1%. As I mentioned in PBL4, I use cross-tabulation in order to back up my interpretation of descriptive analysis. As you can see on the slides, the cross-tab in table 3 between gender and respondents' willingness to share or seek information about hipster restaurants shows that 0.708 genders not significantly related with share or seek information about hipster restaurant because the p-value is more than 0.05. Next is a cross-tab between hometown and frequency of attending hipster restaurants in table 4. Hometown were not significantly related with frequency of attending hipster restaurant with value 0.131. And then cross-tab in table 5 between gender and frequency of attending hipster restaurant shows that gender significantly related with frequency attending hipster restaurant with value 0.001, which is p-value less than 0.05. Next, I will interpret about reliability test. The reliability test in this study was measured by the Cronbach alpha. The value that is greater than 0.7 is an acceptable value. Cronbach alpha was used in order to estimate the average of all correlation coefficient of the items within a test. Cronbach alpha for all these variables is based on the level of acceptance that suggested by Nunali years 1970. As you can see on table 6 reliability analysis, all of the variables has a very good reliability condition. Okay, after we finish with reliability test, we need to test whether the data is normally distributed or not. Based on the first run of the normality test that my group has done, it is found that all variables squidness and kurtosis are normal except for E1 valence. The first run that we done the normality test, the kurtosis of E1 valence that we achieve is 2.563. It means that the data is not. It means that the data were not normally distributed because the range of value is more than positive or negative 1.96. That's why we need to. That's why our groups need to refer to E1 Venus box blocks. In E1 Venus box blocks, we managed to found that there are two outliers point that further than the others outliers. The outliers point that further than the others is um, cases with ID number 123 and cases with number and cases with ID number 124. The only way that we need to do to make sure that our data of E1 valence is normal, we need to delete the cases with ID number 123 and 124. After we delete the cases with ID number 123 and 134, we found out that the value of E1 valence cortices are decreasing, and it showed that it is normally distributed because it decreased from 2.563 to 1.793. 1.793 means that the data is normally distributed. Now, I will interpret independent sample t-test. There was a statistically significant differences between the two compared groups of gender and customer intention to purchase a hipster restaurant, which is the mean of the female 4.1130, slightly higher compared to male 3.8841. Based on table independent sample t-test below, it can support the hypothesis, which is the significance value or p-value is 0.041. Next, I will interpret one-way ANOVA. Okay. There were no significant difference between compared groups of race and intention to purchase hipster restaurants because the p-value is more than 0.05, which is p-value 0.479. Mean of Malay is slightly higher than the other, which is 4.0746 compared to India 4.0000, Chinese 4.0278, and other races have the lowest mean, which is 3.3750. Then between compare group of occupation and customer purchase intention, there were no significant difference because the p-value is also more than 0.05, which is the value is 0.821. There was a slight difference in terms of mean, whereas employee has the highest mean with number 4.1316. The second highest was student 4.0590, followed by the lowest, that is unemployed 3.9643. Now I will continue with bivariate Pearson correlation. Based on the Pearson correlation strengths that influence purchase intentions among the variables, as the value is near to 1, the strongest variable is E1 valence, which R equals to 0.635, followed by E1 volume, which R equals to 0.592, then type of website, which R equal to 0.585, next followed by source trustworthiness, which R equal to 0.489, while the least strength is tie strength, which R equal to 0.183. Based on the tables, there is a positive relationship between the variables and purchase intention. Lastly, I will interpret multivariate regression. From table 11 below, the results shows the multiple regression analysis with customer purchase intention as dependent variables. The regression model has a coefficient determination R square with a good value of 0.545. This indicates that 54.5% of variance is customer purchase intention, significantly explained by the 5 predictors, that is source trustworthiness, tie strength, E1 volume, E1 valence, and type of website. Okay, in order to figure out the best set of predictors of purchase intention, a hierarchical multiple regression analysis was performed as in Table 13. The value of significance is p equal to 0.05. So, based on the tables, all the variables have significance support. Therefore, source trustworthiness with p equal to 0.016, then Tice range p equal to 0.054, E1 value, E1 volume with p equal to 0.001, E1 valence with p 0.000, and type of website with the p equal to 0.006. Based on this analysis, the strongest regression is E1 balance, E1 valence, and followed by E1 volume. Type of website, source trustworthiness, and lastly is size range. This measured by the value of beta that nearest to 1.